Good evening, Zimbabwe. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America on Tuesday, October 28th, 2014. And this is Live Talk. I'm Blessing Zulu.
And I'm Kips Dube.
And tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about the official opening of Parliament.
To join the discussion, phone us directly at this number, 001-202-619-2077, and we'll call you back.
And as usual, Live Talk goes out to Zimbabwe on a 1909 medium wave frequency and on the 4930, 5940 and 15455 kilohertz shortwave, Monday through Friday at 8:30 p.m.
And on the internet, you can find us at www.voazimbabwe.com, www.voashona.com, and www.voandebele.com.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is also hoped that while the new income tax bill will be enacted during this session, the Insurance Act and the Pension and Provident Funds Act will be amended to address deficiencies in the current legislation and align them with international best practice. The Public Health Bill, which seeks to promote quality health service delivery, shall be tabled during this session. Efforts to support the ministry's recovery are set to be boosted by $89 million a loan facility concluded with China, the Chinese Exim Bank, for the procurement of medical equipment, ambulances, and other accessories. It is depressing that some of our people have turned themselves into mere fronts for foreign investors, thus defeating the fundamental objective of the indigenization and economic empowerment program. Decisive action shall indeed be taken to address these developments, strengthen the general enforcement of the relevant legislation.
Once again, thanks for joining us. You are listening to Studio 7 Live Talk. And tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about the opening of Parliament.
President Robert Mugabe today officially opened the second session of the 8th Parliament in Harare, calling on the country to remain united in its quest to build a solid foundation for sustainable development.
And of course, throughout the ceremony, First Lady Grace Mugabe exchanged no words with Vice President Joyce Mujuru, who sat next to Justice Minister and her alleged rival in the party, Emerson Mnangagwa. And reports are saying that Mnangagwa and Mujuru were smiling and sharing jokes throughout Mr. Mugabe's speech. And commenting on the indigenization and empowerment law, Mr. Mugabe said government would penalize locals who are being used as fronts by foreigners seeking to bypass local ownership regulations.
What do you think about this issue? If you wish to join the show right now, phone us directly at this number, 001-202-619-2077, and we'll call you back. That number again, 001-202-619-2077. You can also send us a message on WhatsApp, and our number is 1-202-465-0318. Yeah.
Wonguka hamadzadiwa nasi toda kuti tinge tichitarisa nezvekuvhurwa kwedare reparamende uye kune mashoko ataurwa nemutungamiri wenyika vaRobert Mugabe. Pane mabiko avazoita Gibbs kana kuti atingati reception vachitaura iwo kuti pane vari kurwira chigaro chavo muzanu PF ivo vachiripo. Of course, there is a reception that was held after this the opening of Parliament, the 8th session of Parliament, and the President Robert Mugabe said those who are fighting each other in the party to succeed him are wasting their time because he is still very much around. Mr. Mugabe, of course, is 90 years old, and there's been serious infighting within his party, pitting his Vice President Amai Joyce Mujuru and also the Justice Minister Emerson Mnangagwa. This is coming ahead of the party's elective Congress in December. Gibbs.
Yabahambe place kage indaba yalamhlanje zulu kandaba lingalithola njani lapha likhona khona ngapho ke ngemakhaya ye esixoxa ngakho ke lokho kuvulwa kwedala leParliament okwenziwe namhlanje kwenziwe ke umongameli uRobert Mugabe lapha akhulume khona esithi kumele kulungiswe imithetho eminingi. Imithetho yakhona kuthiwa ingafika ku400 okumele ilungiswe ihambelane lesisekelo sombuso welizwe lokho kuthiwa i-new constitution. So ke uphinde wakhuluma lokuthi kuyamele kube le new income tax bill iyabikhangela ukuthi imithelo yelizwe kambe ihamba kuhle yini. Sizwile njalo ke njengoba uBlessing okuchayile ukuthi kukhanya ngazani ke khona ngale dala leParliament kade kuhlezi ke uFirst Lady kumbe ngithi unkosikazi Grace Mugabe ehlezi lo nkosikazi Joyce Mujuru yena engumsekeli kamongameli. Lapha kade kukhanya khona bengana bakhulumisani, omunye khangelele lo munye khangelele, kodwa ke okungani kuphume sobala umnumzana Emerson Mnangagwa onguye phela okhangeleza ezemthetho kukhanya nje kade ezikholisela lo nkosikazi Mujuru phela ke bechanja amajokes angapheliyo ngokutsho kwabantu anthi kunjalo kuBlessing. So ke sifuna ukuza ukuthi njengoba liyakwazi ukuhluphana khona ngale kuZANU-PF umjuru ungazani ulwa ke lo Mnangagwa kubangiswana ke isikhundla selesi esikamongameli. So njengoba ke uMgabe sengazani sekukhulile sibili ukhangelela ukuthi enxa ngathi isikhundla kungadlula ikhongolose sikhuluma nje kukhanyazani uMgabe nangikwakhe umongameli uthi ake limi ukulwisana isikhundla ngisakhona mina esintwini wasithini ke Blessing ngalokho akulalanga elaphuma elinye lingakajoni. No sun can rise before the other is down there, right?
Indeed. Of course, President Robert Mugabe, during his official opening of Parliament, touched on a number of issues. Among the issues that he dealt with, he said, of course, the government should work to improve the standard of living, the standards of living of all Zimbabweans. The government, he said, will set up a commission of inquiry to look into the transition from the Zimbabwe dollar to the United States dollar, as people could have been prejudiced of their pensions. This, of course, is true. Many pensioners are complaining about the issue. And, of course, the president also talked about the community share ownership schemes, urging companies to honor the pledges that they made to government. He also dealt with Zim Asset, the Zimbabwe agenda for sustainable socio-economic transformation. And he touched on issues such as mining, agriculture, and also that the government will work hard to ensure that there is energy that will actually drive the industries. Those are some of the issues that he raised, Gibbs.
I think to add on to the issues that we're actually talking about, Blessing, Mr. Mugabe also pointed out that Parliament will be expected to pass a new law to ensure quality health for the nation. And he also talked about, an information and communication technology policy that will be supported by what he says electronic transaction, cybercrime and data protection bills. And then at the same time, he expressed sadness about some people. He alleges that they're actually registering companies under certain outsiders' names. If you're a foreign investor, he says some people are being used to actually register, for those companies. And this is reversing the policy of indigenization.
I think we have our first two guests. First, we have Member of Parliament for Nkai, Mr. Abednego Bebe. Honorable Bebe, good evening.
Good evening, Blessing. How are you?
I'm
good
doing
evening, audience, and good evening, Zimbabweans.
Thank you so much. And we also have Mr. Maurice Ngwenya. He's a political analyst and ZANU-PF activist. Mr. Ngwenya, good evening.
Good evening. How are you, Blessing?
I'm doing great, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. The pleasure is always ours. And Gibbs, you can start the ball rolling.
Let's start with you, Mr. Bebe. You are a lawmaker and you've been saying what is going on in Parliament. And today the president actually spelled out the agenda for Parliament. Do you think this agenda is going to, to be pushed to its limit?
Well, first and foremost, it has been a routine that the president of the country does address Parliament and outlines, the agenda for Parliament. Safe to say, without making ado that it is, something that has been traditional and it has not actually resulted in the betterment of some of the laws that have been anticipated to come out of Parliament. And thirdly, it has not brought about laws that respect Zimbabweans as a unity, not dividing them according to political class, neither according to race or tribe. We have not seen laws that are deliberate to deal with that, and we have not seen him stressing on those laws that some of us believe they impinge on the lives of Zimbabwe. For an example, one would wonder why ZANU-PF is not prioritizing something that Zimbabweans believe is supposed to be priority, the issue of the devolution of power. We don't see him stressing on such kind of laws that we believe are going to change the lives or the development of the country. And we don't see him talking about laws that are going to change the participation of Zimbabwe as a people. Laws like POSA, we are not seeing him talking about those laws. We are not seeing him talking about laws that are going to turn around the fortunes of this economy by having true investors having to come and invest here in Zimbabwe. Over and above, we're not seeing him stressing the laws that are going to be protecting those investments, of which those investments are going to contribute in the improvement of the economy of the country. So basically, this is what we are expecting from a president if he were to address the country, emphasizing on those things, because those are the things that are basically required for Zimbabwe to have a better life and compete within the community of nations.
Thank you so much, Honorable Bebe. For those of you who are just joining us tonight on Studio 7 Live Talk, we are talking about the President's official opening of Parliament today. Of course, he made many promises, things that Parliament has to tackle, or rather setting the agenda for Parliament. He talked about housing, he talked about indigenization, and he also touched on the issue of mining, and also the problematic area of energy. And our guests this evening, we have Honorable Abednego Bebe, MDCT legislator, and we also have political analyst and ZANU-PF activist, Mr. Morris Ngwenya. Mr. Ngwenya, just your take on the president's speech.
Well, the president really touched on the critical issues at the moment that are affecting the majority of the Zimbabweans. That is to do with the service delivery in terms of emphasizing on health, as well as talking about the issue of housing, as well as looking at the issue of energy, the energy sector. But really, without singling out really some what people would perhaps call the most important or the most pressing laws, because to me, really, the whole constitution underpins the importance of the governance of this country, and all the laws that need to be realigned are equally important, without perhaps saying this law is more important than the other. Therefore, I think his emphasis that Parliament should tackle these laws to realign them to the present, to the current or the new constitution is very important. And I hope the legislators will take it seriously, because delaying or taking their time instead of sitting down and looking into these laws that are so important to this country will be really a disservice to the nation, because this new constitution came into effect in 2013, and from the look of things, sometimes maybe the legislators will take their time. Some of them don't even attend Parliament, and it drags on. But I hope they will really take the president's call seriously to look into the issue, to look into the laws and align them to the new constitution.
Thank you so much. Of course, the optimistic world of Mr. Morris Ngwenya, and there was also the rather pessimistic world of Honorable Bebe. Rega tiende kuvatereri vedu toenda kuchipinge. Makadi mkoma masimba. Mkoma masimba parunari makadi.
Makadi ko mkoma blessing.
Aiwa isu tiri nani kurisei kuchipinge huko.
Unofara yambo.
Maona osei mashoko ari kutaurwa navamugabe ekugadzirisa upfumi.
garo ziva kuti ndozongobwereketa munhu zuva nezuva pasina chabuda. Saka pachina chitsva chatingati tanzwa mashoko muparamende haisati yaveko paramende.
Sei muchidaro?
Nokuti kubva 1980 kusvika nhasi kungotaura kutoendwa kumba kundovata zvatopera, wotambura munhu mutema.
Saka hapana chinofamba.
Zero great.
Saka poitwa sei Mukoma Masimba?
Hapana, kungotarisa mpaka zvati ndi mwena wacho waguma. That's the best.
Aiwa,
tinoti pane chinobuda. Totenda zvedu mai mudhuru mukadzi womunhu unoziva kubwereketa.
Aiwa, tinotenda zvikuru Mukoma Masimba rekupinda muchirongwa chedu.
Tinotenda ngavasatipedzera nguva yedu.
Aiwa, tinotenda zvikuru. Of course, Masimba is saying that, all they do is talk, and they've been doing it since 1980. But when it comes to delivering, it's zero. So he says essentially it's a waste of time. It's like applying lipstick to a frog. Rega tiende kuna Mukoma Kenyas ku South Africa ku Botswana. Makadi Mukoma Kenyas.
Right, umuri wadere Mukoma Blessing.
Aiwa, isu tinotamba kuri sei ku Botswana?
Ku Botswana kuri right zvako.
Manhasi vakama vagadzwa kutungamira nyika zvakare.
Yeah.
Asi ngatidzokei kumusha. Munoti kudini zviri kudzinga zviitwe nemutungamiri wenyika?
Ini ndinokumbira kuvhunza pane vari ipapa plus imimo ndiudza but ndichada kutaura nguva yakati wandei tichitaurirana. Basa reparliament nderei? Basa reparliament nderei?
Mr. Bebe.
Ndere kugadzira mutemo yenyika nekugadzirisa mitemo inogadzirisa
Mr. Bebe ndiri kuda avo vezanu-PF avo.
Mr. Ngwenya.
Okay.
The answer is the same. Parliament, basa reparliament ndere kugadzira mitemo yenyika.
Okay, ndiri kugadzira mitemo yenyika. After taindisa vanhu vatavhotera kuti ivo vachandotimirira vari kuparliament vandotigadzirira izvi kuparliament handiti?
Aiwa, musasanganise nyaya. Mitemo haigadzirwi mazuva ese. Apa nyaya yekutaura nezvayo kugadzira mitemo ndeyekuti handiti taishandisa bumbiro remutemo kana kuti constitution yekare. Last year kukaiswa constitution itsva. Mitemo inofanira kuenderana nebumbiro idzva iri. Ndo nyaya iri.
Okay. Alright, regeni ngotaura zvangu ndatenda Mr. Morris Ngwenya. Chinhu chiripo chendingoti taurei Mukoma Blessing ndechekuti hapana chitsva chiri kuchinja kuparliament yeZimbabwe. Number one, economically muparliament yeZimbabwe hapana chiri kuitwa chinochinja economic diversification yenyika yeZimbabwe. Number two, when we talk about the law, zvinezvi kune vanhu vanoenda vachindomirira vanhu. Munhu akasungwa for him to be proved guilty or innocence, anotanga apika jere ari muremand in prison achinzi hakuna kana mota. Zvinhu zvinofana kuti sit and being debated muparliament. Number three, muZimbabwe hamuna kana chinodebetiwa kuparliament chinodzoserwa kuvanhu kwetiri isusu kuti aiwa zvatati chiti isusu tiri kundotaura pamusoro pema-amendments ari muconstitution kuti ma-elections achauya akadai hazvitevedzerwi. Ndosaka zvinochiona gono achida kundouya achindopinzwa neimwe nzira. Zvinhu zvinofana kudai zvakati zvichidhibhetiwa muparliament zvichiuya zvisingazouyi zvava kuita sokuti chiutsotsi. Number three, mukati mezvetinobhadhara isusu mukanzuro zvinezvi ndine about 15 years nda-aplayela ndanyora fomu rangu rokuti ndive neimba muZimbabwe. Handizivi kuti ndichatanga kuwana imba yeguva here kana kuti imba yekugara mukati ndichiitawo property yangu muZimbabwe kana kuti zvinhu izvozvo, all of those things hapana kana chaari kuti taurira kana ari semujara uyu dena ainda zvake andosvika andozorora
vamugabe mutungamiri wenyika hatingadi kushandisa mashoko anenge ekunyomba, tinenge da kuti titaure tese pasina kutukana muchingotaura mapoints enyu.
Alright, ndinotenda hapana chinhu chavanogara muparliament vachichidebata. Why? Because Zimbabwe iri kurwanwa nema citizens eZimbabwe. Hapana anything which we are getting from the government of Zimbabwe. Munhu akafa iye zvino is a business muZimbabwe kuti umuvige. Mamocharies arimo, tinotambura kuti divide our own people in our own country. Yet we have people who are representing us in the parliament. Ndochati saka zvetirikuita chichirikiitika. Alright, for us to get agricultural facilities, tiri kutanga tatambura tondotengerwa fertilizer yematomatis instead of yechibage, but vanhu vari kuzviita vari muparliament.
Aiwa, tinotenda zvikuru mukoma Kenyas nekupinda muchirongwa chedu.
Ndatenda.
Tinotenda. Of course, Kenyas is not very happy, saying, it's just a waste of time. Parliament is not doing anything that is translating into action. Still continuing with the theme. That is just a talking workshop, and nothing comes out of it. And he says he has been on the housing waiting list for about 15 years. So he's wondering if the only house that you get or a piece of land that you get is his grave.
Yeah, that sounds a bit painful there. So okay, lapha econgweni sengilo mnumzana uMtholi ose Johannesburg. Baba Mtholi, ungawutshona njani?
Ngikona futhi kunjani futhi gift?
No, mphile kakhulu. Kunjani lapha khona?
Hayi, eJohannesburg kukahle futhi.
Ngaphandle kokudutshulwa kwajahalwana kungani kuhamba kahle?
Usenzo yeza mbulele lapha.
Ungathini ke ngodaba lolu umongameli ukhulumile namhlanje edala leParliament. Kambe ungathini ngakhona kwakhulumile?
Le isinda baphendule futhi omkhulu. Ubaba lo thina njengoba yabona futhi njengoba uzwa ngikhuluma ngikuphi nawe ukhuluma ukuphi. Asikho ukuthanda lokho. Isimo selizwe. Ukuze sigcwala amathafa kanje. Ukhomba ukuthi kulenye into ekhona phakathi kwelizwe. Uyabona ilizwe ngilosizi kakhulu ngomfowethu umfanani lo uMoriso lapho. Ukuthi isikhathi lesi akhampena ngaso ukuthi abonakale sona isikhathi sesiphelile kanje ukuthi abonakale abe lokho ekhuluma emele sithumele umgabe kumele ilizwe abakubo elwagwelo abakibo esilobela abakibo baphelile beqedwa ngumgabe. Kodwa namhlanje umile khona lapho lokho emile defender lowo muntu athi ukangazala futhi bekhula yabona ku grade 1 Morris. Namhlanje umile into engihlupha ngayo nsuku zonke ngiyamuzwa limbiza ekhuluma defender ukuthi aqetshe aphume futhi obala ngale kabakwazi ukuthi ukhuluma kanjalo yikho ekhuluma ngani uyacatsha iphoma ukuthi ukhulumile kodwa kulanto azayilandisa eqondile khonapho uBhutumonzi. Mina ngilusizi kulanto ekhulunywa lapha eParliament akulanto engathi izaphuma encede isizwe. Thina especially ngakhuluma nje noma ingani bizwe likhululekile thina amandebela zangasikhululeke since 1980. uBhutumonzi noma kade emncane uyakwazi uyakuzwa kodwa ngilusizi sikhuluma ngizize ezibuhlungu ukuthi uma lapho uzama ukukhampeni ukuthi la azokubambe ngomunye umuntu yehlula akusoze kuvele baqale bamthatha bethathwa bengeniswa nguBhotagezi siyabazi lokungena kwabo bengeniswa ngendaba kaBhotagezi. Namhlanje uyama uthi umgaba hayi right to president umela ilizwe ulungisizwe akulanto elungiswayo uzophuma khona lapho yena usesemncane futhi ulelo ngilife edlule yethu ukuthi ayiphambili uza kwenzani yena empilweni yakhe emeli into njalo sho ukuthi athi hayi madoda mina lami kelani ngisakhula ngisafuna ukuzama uyabona lapho elikhona ngiyazama sizama ukwenza kodwa thina kasiboni futhi ukuthi kusinceda ngani into abazenza eParliament. Namhlanje ngakhumbula kule bhuti lo wathi okotshwe namhlanje wachaywa ngabantu uyazama uyabona ukuthi kameli umuntu oyi1 umela abantu bonke kodwa bangu3 bangu4 uyabona ukhomba ukuthi ulesifiso sokuthi abantu kulunga into esiyenzayo thina lapha special amandebele mangake eParliament angu3 kumbe angu4 kwa410 lesabe kwapho bani akula muntu owafaka noma Heroes Acre olukhawuthi masuku waluyimpi akulo wangena noma Heroes Acre kodwa khona budinga uthola ukuthi umuntu wemandebeleni kanye ulokhe emile khonapho uzamani ukuthi wena usifakelani wayiwena uzihlohla uzigwanisa lapho ongagwani khona usikwaniselani
yes siyawuzwa kakhulu ke mnumzana Mtholi siyakuzwa kakhulu asifundisise ukuqume
yena kanjela ukuthi yena kade lo umenza ukuthi afike ngendaba yokungena ngesibhoda days abese siba njalo axabane labantu bakubo athi yena kuhle akutholayo yena okudlula kwabanye nempilo zabanye abafowethu abangenise emgodini abanye singababonanga kwacreate ama-death certificate yomuntu ongamazi ukuthi ulele kuphi umuntu nalo kodwa wena uyameyama inhlobo zakhe futhi
ayisesikuzwile kakhulu othi-ke sizamngenisa-ke akuphendule kodwa engakakuphendule ngizathi ntshela umphakathi ukuthi kanti usetheni lapha ngesilungu so otherwise siyabonga kakhulu uphendukela kusasa phela what Mr. Mtholi was saying is that the country is facing serious problems right now, and he's wondering why Mr. Morris Ngwenya is always defending ZANU-PF, especially Mr. Robert Mugabe. He says there's nothing, absolutely nothing that Parliament can do because it is just a Parliament without any direction. So then he further went to say that regions like Matabeleland have not recorded any significant growth since 1980. Then he says there are a few people from Matabeleland that are in Parliament, and he wonders why some people like Morris, always Morris Ngwenya, always defend that kind of party like ZANU-PF. He's a very angry man. Morris just 1 second. I just want to make this announcement that now you can actually watch us on YouTube. So if you want to watch us on YouTube, that is LiveTalk. Here is the what you can do. HTTP, I will repeat, /www.youtube.com. Then ungangena khonapho ube ufaka futhi omunye /user/VOA Zimbabwe. So usakuphinda kwezethi likujayele kuhle. HTTP ufaka apostrophe yakho /www.youtube.com/user/VOA Zimbabwe. Ngingakhohlwa ukungena khonapho. Yes, ungamphendula ke baba Morris Ngwenya.
Ngiyamuzwa sibili mfowethu lapha ukhuluma lokuthukuthela. Into engifuna ukuthi imtshengise yona ukuthi nxa evela sibili eMandebeleni kumele sibili ezisisa ukubana sonke khona ngale esivela le eMatabeleland silokuthukuthela ngendaba yelizwe leli okwenzakala kathesi kuZANU-PF ungakhangela nxa ungumuntu ovela eMatabeleland sibili umdala wethu uJoshua Nkomo uyamhlonipha and sonke isikhathi uzamela lokho ayisitshela khona ubana sikumele iZANU-PF le ekhona ngabafana bakaJoshua Nkomo yikho sibahlonipha lanxa abesikhokhela abadala bethu bengathi omela owayekuzapho kade singumbani esizamfaka esikhundleni lesi yikho sikuhlonipha ngoba leli yilo ilifa esalitshelwa ngumdala wethu ngezwe umuntu efuna ukuvusa indaba ezegugurawundi indaba ezenzakala kudala umuntu ongahloniphi umdala wethu umuntu ongahloniphi unkomo njalo ngiyazibuza ukuthi umuntu lo uvela ngaphi vele ilifa esalitshelwa unkomo kalazi yini kungani efuna ukuvusa izinto bakhuluma abadala indaba lezi bazikhuluma bavumelana unkomo uyathi singene ku-unity accord unkomo wathi nguye wathi sibambane ngakho okwenzakala kathesi kuZANU-PF yikho sikusekela ngoba yikho ukwakha ilizwe esakutshiyelwa umdala wethu uJoshua Nkomo kodwa into eyenzisa ubuhlungu kakhulu ukuthi abakunanzeleli ukuthi abantu beMDC yibo abafika eMatabeleland laphana bevusa imizi
bamba kancane mnumzana ungayikhatshali bamba kancane
Nkoma Donald ramba izwe nyuma kabata parunare Mr. Bebe and Mr. Ngwenya, please do stay on the line. And for our radio listeners, we are streaming live. Go to www.voazimbabwe.com and press on Live Talk. This is Blessing Zulu.
And you can also visit YouTube. That is www.youtube.com/user/VOA Zimbabwe. This is Gibbs Dewey in Washington, D.C. Stay tuned.
For those of you who are just joining us, good evening, and this is Studio 7 Live Talk. And tonight we are talking about President Robert Mugabe officially opening Parliament and setting the agenda for the 8th Parliament. Of course, Mr. Mugabe talked about the community share ownership, urging companies that have pledged to put money into those community share ownership trust to do so. And he also talked about the issue of housing, promising that the government will work hard to ensure that people get affordable accommodation. He also talked about the issue of education, saying there's going to be reforms, and of course the government's economic blueprint, Zim Asset, saying that he is going to ensure at least that mining becomes viable, and energy, the energy capacity is also improved. Gibbs.
Our guests this evening are Mr. Apetniko Bebe, who is a Nkai lawmaker, and Mr. Morris Ngwenya, who is a ZANU-PF activist and political analyst. And if you wish to watch the show right now, you can visit our websites. Here are the websites: www.voazimbabwe.com, www.voashona.com, and www.voandebele.com. You can also visit us on YouTube, www.youtube.com/user/VOA Zimbabwe. You can also search VOA Zimbabwe on YouTube, and then you can connect us right away. So ke mbona zani besaqhuba ke lo mnumzana uNgwenya. Baba Ngwenya, siqede ngamafitshane nje khona bana kade usakhuluma. Yaqhubeka.
Yebo, ngithanda ukuqedisa ngisithi khathesi abantu bakithi abalahleka khona ukuthi bayengwa iMDC efika ngale eqalisa ukuvusa imizwa yabantu ngokukhuluma ngendaba ezinjengazonezo, kodwa kuyibo vele abafuna ukuthi iMatabeleland ingaqhubekeli phambili, ilokhu isemuva. Bamanyana labelungu labo Edicross laba oDavid Coulthard laba bavumelana ukuthi amakampani kavale khona ngale eMatabeleland, kodwa ezovula ngapha Harare labamanye amanye nakwezinye indawo. Yikho lapho abantu abangananzelela khona ukuthi ayisiyo ZANU-PF eMatabeleland eyenza ukuthi kungabi lentuthuko, iMDC, ngoba vele bona khangelani kathesi izihlalo zabo zonke zivela khona ngale eMatabeleland, bahamba ngale bayidlala imizwa yabantu bebayenga. Khangelani kathesi amadlozi azondile le Highland azidliwa.
Yes, siyakuzwa kakhulu mnumzana. So wena ngombono wakho ubona ngazani ekwe-Highland kungangena njani khonapho kwezentuthuko? Kukhona njalo amadlozi athukuthele eMatabeleland usukisela ngomnyaka ka1999 iMDC isithatha amasito onke eMatabeleland. Le Highland ayizange isithathe inkezo. Ngiyabona indaba yakhona lelana liqembu lamadlozi, iqembu leMatabeleland. Yikho silibambanisa, yikho lihlonishwa ngumuntu wonke. Ungaba lelinye iqembu lisekhona lelana iqembu lamadlozi. Siyakuzwa kakhulu ke. So he says ZANU-PF has nothing to do with the underdevelopment of Matabeleland, and people of Matabeleland are there to blame for the sake that the MDC has got its main kind of base in that region. So he's blaming everything on the MDC and not on ZANU-PF. Yeah,
Honorable Bebe.
Oh, you have wasted most of my time. I thought maybe I was going to be debating this thing with somebody who knows what he's talking about. And unfortunately, some of the issues that were being raised cannot be wholly answered, especially when you debate with somebody who does not know issues and it does not have facts for the same issues. Safe to say, if we look at back, this country was liberated 34 years ago. And for those 34 years, if we treasured this country, and if those that were supposed to be in power treasured this country, they should have made sure that they keep it as a treasure. Julius Nyerere said to Mugabe, Mugabe, you have inherited the jewel of Africa, keep it. And if you still remember those words, you should actually ask yourself, is Zimbabwe still a jewel? And obviously, everyone has got the answer. I don't have to say it. Whether you're Zimbabwe or out of Zimbabwe, you know what Zimbabwe is right now. So the same system, the same people that have not only committed crimes, of humanity, but committed crimes of destroying the little that we inherited as a jewel of Africa. Have got people that can still speak boldly, defending a system that has put us where we are today. It's a pity. It's a pity. If we have got a leader who for all these years, for 34 years, he has been enjoying instructing Parliament instead of him being instructed by Parliament. And the system is obscured. And we have got people that still support that system. Meaning that you are saying what has happened for the past 34 years has not yet finished. You need to destroy even more. Actions speak louder than words. You don't have to speak. But it is there. It is on record. It is Mugabe who has destroyed the country with all the sins that we are crying about in Zimbabwe. It is the same man. And those are facts.
Thank you, Honorable Bebe. Thank you, Honorable Bebe. Minazwi.
Welazwi Belofo.
Rekatende kuna mkoma Donald. Mkoma Donald makadi.
Ndipo mkoma blessing makadiko.
Aiwa tiri nani muri kuona sei mashoko ataurwa nemutungamiri wenyika vaRobert Mugabe tichitarisa nyaya dzezveupfumi nekuti upenyu hwevanhu hugadzirikewo zvakanaka.
Mashoko hambodetseri mkoma blessing yo ndinotenderana zvangu navabhebhe zvekutaurwa navabhebhe. Ava moti vangwenya handizivi kuti munovadanire inyaya yenyu kuti munoda zvinhu zviri balanced kana pakutaura but handizivi kuti analyst wavo vanoanalyza chiine mafungiro avo iwawo.
Aiwa mukoma Donald chatinoda tinenge tichida kuti tiite discussion tisinganyombane. Chatinodaidzira vanhu vese ndechekuti tinenge tichida kukurudzira kuti vanhu vataurirane nekuti what unites us is Zimbabwe. We are all Zimbabweans. Tinokwanisa kuita mafungiro akasiyana asi tinofanira kuti tinge tichiremekedzana. Ndo mafungiro avo.
Ndo zvandotaura hangu ndichiti inyaya yekuti moto ichidawo zvinhu zviri balanced but ubalansi hwacho uzoshekwa manje nekuti kana vachitaura kuti kunjira kusadevelopa kwakaita madebheleni kokonzerwa neMDC I don't know kuti vada zvamautaura kudii 34 years dzavakapinda mupower idzi havadzioni saka vaite chiende voexpecta kuti nyika ichazonaka nemamwe makore vachada kuramba vari mupower vachinge vachizona vanofunga kuti vachaita makore mangani vari mupower vakakoniwa 34 years dzakapfuura idzi navo vakupa blame MDC yakafomwa 99 ivo vanguva vava mupower vachikoniwa futi hazvina kana ende mashoko awo zvakangofa nezimu aseti hatina tomboziva abbreviation kuti asi kuti tigoti hatitombozivi kuti chii tombozi zimu aseti vanhu vazhinji vanoto ndakateerera musi vapedza rwanya vachitaura kuti vakavhunza vanhu kumashona jen central kunotova kumusaka kumusangano but havazivi vanhu varikoko zimu aseti yacho chombova chii sotagwa ilanguage dzamapolitician dzavanoda kungotsvaka hadinei nevanhu general vanhu vakata sezvi isu tichangofa nenhamo bhozi kana sezvo vanhu ivava vari mupower hatina kana hope yamabasa tichangofa tichingo vanhu mumisha hapana kana chitarisiro apo da kutsigira vabhebhe rambai makadaro ava haina ndihwisisi kuti mashoko avo anongova mashoko asina kana kwakananga asina kana mashoko kungokwera achividza zuva nazuva parliament anoda kuzopuwa mari $70 pesiti yaanenge vaiti hameno dai kusina towanda pasina kana chanombodhibheta hapana kana chinombobuda mukoma blessing apa tidi kuvanzirana hapana ndo chokwadi chiripo kungopuwa hako mari kokungoti vavidza zuva vasirire vasina mhuri dzavo but mukati chavanopigwa mari dzacho vachidhibheta hatichioni mukoma blessing hatisi kusoora zvedu but vanhu vakakoniwa for 34 years ava havana kana chamboitarisirwa navanhu kana kuti uri ukaona hatizivi kuti anenge achifungawo sei zvadii munhu anoti kwai tine hope nenhichi hapana kana hope iripo mukoma blessing hope hapana.
Aiwa tinotenda zvikuru mukoma Donald.
Aiwa tatenda.
Tinotenda. Of course Donald is not a happy man. He says ZANU-PF has failed for the past 34 years. And there is no hope at all, you know. They can debate all day long, all night long. But when it comes to delivering, you know, people are suffering. They don't have jobs. And he's really, really bitter. I think you could hear the way he was expressing himself.
Yeah, kunjalo kusanjalo ke blessings. Lo mnumzana ke Patrick eJoburg. Baba Patrick ungachona njani?
Hayi ngiyatshona Mthembu utshona njani?
Hayi sitshonile kakhulu ye. Ungaphosela ko baba?
Ayelami nje lisekuthini nyamuzwa ubaba mkhulu uMgabe lapho eze president. Uthi uyalungisa, mina kangikuboni sibili akulungisayo njengoba nje izikhulumeli ziyatsho usizwa abanye baze baphatheke ngezinhliziyo kabazenzi ba. Ibuhlungu besenzakalo esikuleliyani lizwe ukuphatheka buchapha wena uthi uphethe isizwe. Njalo lamhla njengoba ngisizwa izikhulumeli lapho ukuthi uGrace Mgabe lo mama lo okalokhuzeni uJoyce Mjuru babhekana kabi. Ukubhekana kwabo kabi ngimzwile umama uJoyce Mjuru elikhipha elingathi liyaqondisa nje ukuthi lokhuyana okutshona sithethisana lapha eParliament akusancedi ngoba sihlukuluza umphakathi ovela uhlupheka. Uyalizwa lona eligama ukuthi ukhangele emuva umama lo njengomuntu ophuma empini. Ukubalisile futhi ukuthi kulabantu abelabo ukuzanela lapha abayizilima lamhla abayizigoga abanye bayahawula emakhaya esingakufananisela both side la kuzipra njoba kukhangelekile abantu abahluphekile ilizwe kulalutho abalutholileyo njengakhona okho bekusitsho lo ubaba umhlanga in other words. Njalo lamhla iParliament yakhe nxa ethu yalungisa ngezama-tax abantu siyarojwa yena ukhona njengohulumende kakulanto ayenzayo. Ezikolo lapho abantu sebeze bezithathela ama-advantage izakhamizi ukuhamba zithumbela abanye ngoba babona ukuthi umthetho wakhe uvela uyavuma. Silezakhamizi ezinjengamasobhuku ezinjengezinduna lazo loba zithi ziyazama ukulungisisa imithetho emaphandleni zithola zisehluleka ngoba umuntu uza lo mthetho athi zanuithi wena uyabumela umuntu ukuthi umuntu weMDC or umuntu waleli gama anje yabona kusasebenza imithetho kwampana lamhlubala ngento zezindlu akulanto eprogressiweyo nxa sibala ngegama lesilungu ngoba kungaze kuthi kuyabekwa into ezitende ama-city council kawasenzi ngomthetho kahulumende yena ekhona usuthola bethatha izindawo leziyana bethengisela abantu izitende uthole zithengiswa kayi-5 isisinye kodwa umthetho wakho uhulumende ukhona. Yikho engidingayo ukuthi kathi iParliament yakhe ilungisani everyday njengoba kuyazwakala futhi ukuthi bona umnankagwa lo Mjuru bebekhangelana nje besimayila bebona ukuthi le into vele zelungiswe eParliament kayikho ngoba ama-diamond lalamhla zidliwela ngama-China abantu bokufika akulanto abayibhadala abantu wonke umuntu oyisisebenzi yezwe uyakhala kababaholisi. Thina sinje size sikubone lamhla nanka amadokotela akhala ngeqiniso. How do you feel umuntu ongudokotela ezahola $281? Lumuntu esebenza umsebenzi onzima wokuphilisa abantu. Khangela lamhla security or garden boys eSouth Africa is getting abanye 6,000 abanye 4,000 domestic work. Manje what about udoctor? So lami yikho ngibona ukuthi kangibona ukuthi katulungisana ubaba sibile ekhulile ngamanye amagama ngesindebele thina sithi kuvala abantu amehlo na ngoba lamhla usezeqedi 34 years elokhe batshela story esingala develop ngesilungu esingalanto ephumelelayo lathi simkholwe ngakuphi uzamuzwe sesibekela ukuthi yena uyakhipha imithetho abantu bazenzela into zakhe la follow up nxa isenziwa yonke into sazi nxa isetshenzwa ubone lapho umsebenzi onje nje wenziwe so ubopha umuntu oyisigangi ikukutshengisela ukulungisela abantu umthetho
isikhathi Mdawini mana phela sinika abantu ithuba phela
thola bezenzela intando yabo bekwazi
sakubiza kusasa Mdawini
umthetho elizweni nxa mfananisa njengalinto eke yakhitshwa ngumama Mbijana ngitsho la kubomame bafa
siyabonga kakhulu Mdawini so sizakubiza futhi kusasa siqhube ngodaba lolu uluchayile sibili sikuzwile kodwa phela banenge abantu abangani bakuqueue lapha ke Blessing bafuna ukuthi bangene kuhlelo kodwa uMdawini was saying a lot of issues here. So he was saying that Parliament is just there for nothing and they're talking about tax bills and all that kind of things. He says people are being robbed every day. There's nothing that is coming out of Parliament, and he says if Parliament was working, why is it that schools are actually seizing people's property at will? And we further said, there are some people like headmen and chiefs who are using the president, the ZANU-PF name to actually do whatever they want. So why is Parliament not working on those kind of issues. So you mentioned a lot of issues.
Of course, Honorable Bebe, are you still on the line?
Yes, I'm still
Okay,
here.
at this luncheon, the president said, this is what ZBC is reporting, is saying, turning to the opposition, he said it is unfortunate that after losing the July 31st, 2013 elections, they, meaning the opposition, they've not only refused to recognize the new government, but created a barrier, making it impossible to engage them on national issues. Your response to that?
You see, sometimes these things go with edge. You know, if you have got people that surround you, people that, believe in just looking for their own pockets and their girlfriends and their friends, surrounding you, they will always advise you, especially at that age, for the mind to tick like my mind at 50 versus 80. Yes, the intelligence is there, but it will not measure. Because it cannot measure, you are bound to say some kind of things in public that do not make sense. Things that make sense is, you have been there, you have done it. We want to see the results of good work that you have done. Yes, we saw the results in 1980 when we got independence. If I were Mugabe, knowing that I was not going to be able to manage to run this country, I was going to retire and become a hero in 1980. But today, that hero in 1980 is a villain. Look at where Zimbabwe is. And those are facts. You can't hide behind any finger. It is even a school kid, grade 1 going kid, grade 1 school going kid today will tell you if he has been told a story by either a grandmother or a mother. He will tell you, look, something is wrong. Something is wrong with our country. Why? Because today we've got a lot of TVs which have got DS, where kids can actually see what is happening in other countries and comparing. I've got my youngster, I think it's about 8 years old. He asked me a question, but Uncle, tell me, why is Zimbabwe not like what we are seeing on TV? I failed to answer that question by trying to avoid to tell the kid otherwise. Otherwise, if I wanted to brainwash that kid, from that tender age, I can do it. But we don't want to kill the brains of people like what Mugabe is doing. For Mugabe to believe that Zimbabweans of all the people, Zimbabweans will still believe that there is anything left for him to revive this country, it is a lie. And it is a lie because the whole system has been tailor-made in such a way that it is the intelligence of this country that are running this country are ill-advising the old men. And the intelligence of this country that are running this country are actually benefiting out of the confusion that is happening. Because at the age of 90, Mugabe cannot tell me that he still can have anything to do with this country. That is not correct. Nature tells that at that age, he has to go and rest. Someone should take off. And we are saying, we are there offering ourselves, we are putting ourselves on the plate that we can do it better. And prove us, if you can, Zimbabweans. That is all what we are asking for. And we believe that some of us have grown up within the system. 36 years of the involvement in the politics of this country is enough time to know what is good and what is wrong. What is good or what is wrong. And those are facts of life. Let's give Zimbabweans their opportunity by making sure that the laws that come out of that House of Assembly, they are laws that protect the rights of Zimbabweans, especially when it comes to electing a government of their choice. The laws that are coming out of that House are biased, are political, they will never change the fortunes of this country, unless such kind of laws that will eventually lead to better laws that can invite a lot of investment for this country. With the ZANU-PF, I don't think that is possible.
Thank you.
Some of us, we've not been proved that we can fail.
Let's bring Mr. Ngwenya. Mr. Ngwenya, of course, the president at a reception on the sidelines of this parliament opening talked about factionalism. And some people are saying members of your party are spending more time fighting to succeed Mr. Mugabe than delivering on what they promised the people during the elections.
Well, that is a very good statement from leader warning the people who were just re-elected into parliament to remember to fulfill the promises that they made to the people. But may I also point out to Honorable Bebe, he earlier on talked about facts in this debate, and should I point out to him that the economy of Zimbabwe never deteriorated from 1980. The deterioration of the economy should be traced to around 1990 at the formation of the MDC, and now that we expect Parliament was opened, shall we expect that in Parliament they are going to be debating something like the Botswana Economic and Democracy Recovery Act? I'm trying to point to him that he can not run away from the fact that this country was deliberately destroyed by the MDC by calling for sanctions and by asking the Americans to enact the Zidera, which he knows its implications very well. And the MDC people were only after their personal gains, not the development of this country. We can never run away from the fact that this country was destroyed at the formation of MDC, and that is not a coincidence.
But Mr. Ngwenya, going back to 1992, I was about to ask him that question about ESAP, but of course I cannot get angry on behalf of Mr. Bebe. Mr. Bebe.
What I'm saying is ESAP was there before the formation of MDC. When Mugabe decided to send Zimbabwean soldiers to run down the little that Zimbabwe had in the DRC, MDC was not there. In the 1980s, when a lot of money was put to run after the so-called Kukuraundi that was created by Mugabe, all the money was going there. The MTC was not there. And this is where I'm saying this debate, the caliber of people that debate on behalf of Zimbabweans, surely, especially those that support ZANU, they need some examination. Without examination or without removing them in power, we are going to have a crisis. Already we have a crisis in Zimbabwe because of the leadership and the remnants of people that still support the leadership that has destroyed this country.
Okay, we'll ask Mr. Ngwenya to respond a little bit later. We have a caller. Mkoma George Magadi Botswana. Aiwa tiripo muri kuona sei mashoko ava Mugabe takatarisa nenyaya yekuti upenyu hwevanhu hunge huchiita zviri nani kwete kuti vanonge svosve nemuromo.
Vana Mugabe, they don't walk the talk. They talk the talk. Tikatasa maspeech aMugabe from 1980 anotaura chirungu chinodadisa asi hachina zvachinobatsira public vanhu vari muZimbabwe. Zvinobatsira vana vake probably nemagenerals ake. Because izvezvi ukanasa kuti chihuri anogona kunosvika vachiva vanhu vakabata maplacards anotumira masoja nemapurisa kunorowa vanhu ivavo. But at the same time vanhu ivavo handi vari kuura economy. Munhu ari kuura economy ndiMugabe. Akaenda kuUnited Nations akawesa 2 million. Madoctors ari kutendera kuti tiwedzere kana $50 kana $100. Nobody can get that money. Iye health yake anoenda kuSingapore. Umwe murume mukuru ndobva anotaura kuti masanctions. Kana munhu akatora mwana wake akamugocha, munoitira kuti vanhu panekidodo vanga vachiite mahuni vachiisa parodhi. Vanhu vanoda kuti wazive, kungoti vanhu hadizi kuti vakauraiwa pfungwa sei kana kuti nditi Mugabe akavaspoila zviri too much kuti vanhu vakabva vabheliva kuti Mugabe is a god. He's just a fallen human being asingakwanisi. Time yake yapera is over. Necabinet yake is over because vanhu vangoivamba zvekuti warecycled. Because vanhu vanoramba ita kuti warecycled. They don't deliver. Otherwise, they are only entertaining my third generations. They are no longer serving the public right now. Those are not Mugabe. Yes, Mugabe are going to go away. No, it's very clear. It's either grace in the kana grace atrati Mugabe Robert achachira kuti samai wake. So we are being driven to one place like kuti wangetuwa mudhibhi kuti tande chimbotungamirwa nesame family, but it's failing us. That parliament doesn't work for the interest of the public because cabinet inofunga mitemo parliament yozodopasiswa. Yakati parliament Mugabe anokota zari kuti parliament that parliament cannot even scrutinize him. Iyano kuti kango deliver speech yake obuda wenda utoneza makuma pamusoro petable hapana anomubvunza, is not answerable to anybody. No, it doesn't make sense kuti ataure kuti parliament can do anything. Parliament cannot do anything. It's only passing the laws zvinongofevha zvawana Mugabe kuti varamba vangori in power.
Aiwa, tinotenda zvikuru mukoma George nekupinda muchirongwa chedu.
All right, my turn.
Tinotenda. Of course, George, I think like most listeners today saying nothing is moving. He's saying there appears now to be a Mugabe dynasty. But this has not helped matters. Things are deteriorating. Gibbs.
Yeah, there are so many messages that have been coming in, and on Facebook, I'll just read one message from Tamsang Amlilo. He says, piecemeal legislation without political will serves no useful purpose. Economic and social rights are the most difficult to attain because they hinge on the level of economic development, enjoyment of human rights, and the deliberate poor policies. Yeah, ngabuya kwe baba Ngwenya. Ngamafutshane ubona ngani kuyaphumani edala leparlament nxa sokuzaphela nje isikhathi sakhona sesifikile.
Idala leparlament esikukhangela ubana likwenze ukuthi imithetho le kumele ihambelane lesekelo sombuzo esitsha lesi. Imithetho le kumele yenze yonke ngokuphangisa nje ukwenzela ukuthi zonke izinto zihambe kakuhle.
Kodwa ubona ngani kuyenziwa yini?
Lapha sokusiya yibo ke abameli bedala leparlament ngoba isikhathi esiningi sithola bengahlangani bekwana abantu bakhetha ukuthi behambe eparlament kodwa isikhathi esiningi bayalova kabangene eparlament. Ngakho lokhu yikho kubisele emuva lokho.
Yeah. So what he's saying is that the major heckle in parliament is that some members don't attend sessions. So that's why you don't have so many bills being passed in parliament.
But Mr. Ngwenya, I understand most of them are not being paid anyway.
Yes, it's very true. But does it mean that they shouldn't go to work? There are so many sectors where people are not getting what they deserve in terms of earnings. That is the reason why we want Parliament to work so that all the systems of this country can function.
Honorable Bebe?
I think what I've realized is maybe there is the basic misunderstanding of what Parliament has to do in terms of the policies that are supposed to be implemented by a sitting government. Here we have got a sitting government, which is a government of ZANU-PF, which is supposed to implement policies that are actually protected by the laws that come out of Parliament. Those policies are obscured, and most of the times they subvert the law itself to achieve a certain political goal. That is where our problem is. Unless and until that is unplugged by removing the system that runs the policies that are obscured, which are sometimes unconstitutional, we cannot correct anything. This is why we are zeroing in on ZANU-PF to say these guys have failed to do particularly what I am explaining. This is why they have to go. You have a new, fresh government that will come up with the policies that are going to, one, be able to align itself with the law, that are going to be able to make sure that they are favorable to every Zimbabwean as a whole to benefit out of the economic system. Then we haven't started, which we are saying ZANU-PF has failed.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bebe. Mr. Ngwenya, maybe your last word.
Well, my last word is the parliamentarians themselves to lead by example and take Parliament seriously and align these laws, all the laws, according to the new constitution.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time. Unfortunately, time is not our best ally, and we have to end it here. A very interesting debate indeed. So we want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Maurice Ngwenya, political analyst and ZANU-PF activist, and Honorable Abednego Bebe of the opposition movement for democratic change, formation led by former Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai. We also want to thank our callers and also viewers and those who sent us messages, and of course our team behind the scenes, that is our engineers and producers. Signing off, this is yours truly, Blessing Zulu.
And Kips Tube saying you can now visit YouTube and get LiveTalk. Good night.